Okay, so now next we'll be talking about the female reproductive system. All right. So in the previous lectures we've already seen, we have learnt about the what are the different parts of male reproductive system, right? We have learnt the important steps in human reproduction, which is a very important part of the chapter, and making that as the basis we moved into the chapter, right? Okay, so let's start with the female reproductive system. See here, this is here in front of you. This is a very beautiful female reproductive system. So if we are going to label the important parts, the important parts of the female reproductive system, what are they going to be? The first one here, which you all can clearly see, is what is ovary, right? And we have discussed previously also that ovary is what? Ovary is the primary. It is the primary sex organ. What is the meaning of primary sex organ? That here what is happening? Here gamete formation is happening. Okay, here what is happening? Gamete formation is happening, that is ovum formation is happening, and that's why ovary is the primary sex organ. Then next we can see here a tube-like structure. What is this tube-like structure? This is the fallopian tube. Alright, this is what? This is the fallopian tube, or it is also called as the oviduct. Both the names are important, right? Then the oviduct is opening into this structure which is called as uterus, right? This is called as uterus, or we also call it as the womb. Okay, this is the third important structure of the female reproductive system. Now this uterus is going to open into cervix. This region is called as the cervix, and the cervix is going to open into the next part, which is called as vagina. So these are the parts that we are going to focus on in this particular video. Alright, now let's start. Okay, so see here, this is a diagram. Again, this diagram has been taken from NCERT. So as I have been repeating in all my lectures, that NCERT diagrams, they are very, very important. So see, we have understood, we had labeled everything. So see here, this is cervix, cervical canal, then it is opening into vagina. Alright, this is uterus. Now we'll be talking about the layers, the walls of the uterus. Alright, it is endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. We'll be taking all these things, individually. Ovary, the primary sex organ, and then of course the fallopian tube. And if you're going to look very carefully, the parts of the fallopian tube have been labeled for you guys. See here, this part is isthmus. This is ampulla, and the one which is closest to ovary is called as infundibulum. इस पे question पूछा जाता है that which part of the fallopian tube is closest to ovary. So we can clearly see here which part? Infundibulum. Isthmus is the one which is opening into the uterus. Alright, so all these are the parts which we are going to focus on. Again, I am repeating, the diagram of NCERT is very, very important. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Female reproductive system, ovaries are there, oviduct is there, uterus is there, cervix is there, and vagina is there. Important part. Next. Alright, now let's start our discussion with the ovary. So see here in front of you a very beautiful diagram of ovaries there. This structure is what? This is your ovary. Alright. Next. Now the primary female sex organ that produces the ovum and several ovarian hormones which are steroid in nature. Alright, this is the main function of the ovary along with the gametes, along with ovum. What else is getting produced from here? The hormones are getting produced from here, located on each side of the lower abdomen. Alright. Now each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. Alright, तो ovary के अंदर हमें जो connective tissue मिल रहा है, what are we calling it? We are calling it as the ovarian stroma. Ovary contains connective tissue, stroma, composed of an outer dense layer called as the cortex and an inner loose layer called as medulla. So you have to remember outer cortex and inner medulla. Okay, this is something that you have to remember. It can be asked. Outer region, cortex, inner medulla. Let's move forward now. All right, talking about the oviduct now. So oviduct 10 to 12 centimeters in length. All right, extends from periphery of each ovary to the uterus, right? We had already seen that, this was the, let's say, this is the female reproductive system here. Okay, so this is the fallopian tube, right? And these are the fimbriae. This is, let's say, the ovary. All right, so what is the description about fallopian tube given? That it extends from periphery of each ovary to the uterus. So see here, it is starting from here, from the periphery of the ovary, and it is extending till the uterus. This is what? This is the uterus. Right? Let's move forward now. The part closer to the ovary is funnel-shaped infundibulum. So the parts of the oviduct are very, very important. Alright, you have to remember where is infundibulum located, where is isthmus located, where is ampulla located. The three parts, their location is very, very important, and very frequently इस पे question आता है. ठीक है? So the part closer to the ovary is funnel-shaped, और उसको क्या बोल रहे हैं हम लोग? Infundibulum बोल रहे हैं. Alright, then the edges of the infundibulum, they possess finger-like projections which are called as fimbriae. Right? हम लोग कैसे बनाते हैं? ऐसे बनाते हैं. Right? So what? These finger-like projections are what? These finger-like projections are fimbriae, and this part is infundibulum, the one which is closest to the ovary. This is infundibulum. All right. So this fimbriae, what is the function of the fimbriae? It helps to collect the ovum after the process of ovulation, right? Finger-like projections है, क्या करेंगे? जैसे ही ovary egg release करेगी, they are going to catch it, they are going to collect it. All right, then the infundibulum leads to the wider part of the oviduct, which is called as ampulla. All right, so infundibulum, then the ampulla. Next, the last part of the oviduct, the isthmus, has a narrow lumen and it joins the uterus. So now I think आप लोग अब sequence बना पा रहे होंगे. The part which was closest to the ovary was isthmus. Isthmus continued, sorry. The part which was closest to the ovary was infundibulum. Okay, so the part which was closest to the ovary was infundibulum. Then infundibulum, it opened into ampulla, and then ampulla opened into isthmus. Okay, so this sequence is very important. Infundibulum, again I am repeating, इस पे question आता है. That's why I am emphasizing on the three parts of the fallopian tube. Infundibulum, closest to ovary. Okay, it is closest to ovary. Alright, isthmus joins the uterus. Isthmus joins the uterus. Okay, दोनों चीजों पे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है. Very important. चले next. Okay, next is uterus. Very important, right? See how a beautiful picture of uterus is given. What is the main function of the uterus? Here what is going to happen? The development of the fetus is going to happen, right? Implantation हो जाता है. हम लोग देख चुके implantation क्या होता है, right? We had seen the basic of implantation. Implantation होने के बाद development of fetus कहाँ पे होता है? In the uterus it happens. All right. Chalo. So uterus, it is also called as the womb, and the shape of the uterus is like an inverted pear. ठीक है, ये भी पता होना चाहिए कैसा शेप है. Inverted pear के जैसा शेप है. Ligaments attached to the pelvic wall support the uterus. All right. The narrow cervix, it opens the uterus into the vagina, right? We have already seen, we saw in the first diagram how the cervix was opening into the vagina, right? Now, the cervical canal is the cavity of the cervix which forms the birth canal along with the vagina. See, at the time of delivery, at the time of parturition, the fetus is going to come through this path, right? That's why what are we calling this path as? We are calling this path as the birth canal. So what are the two components of birth canal? The two components of the birth canal are the cervical canal along with vagina. All right, along with vagina. So these two are the components of the birth canal, which is very important. Now the next part, very important part, the walls of the uterus. All right, the walls of the uterus. So what are the walls of the uterus? Perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium, right? See, now in the sequence you have to remember peri, outermost, myo, middle and endo, innermost. All right, तो देखो peri क्या हो गया, outermost हो गया. Okay, it is thin, membranous. Talking about myometrium, myometrium is the middle one and it is made up of smooth muscles. And it is made up of smooth muscles. And this myometrium, it undergoes strong uterine contractions, it undergoes contractions when at the time of parturition. All right, at the time of parturition. Okay, when the delivery of the baby has to happen, the strong uterine contractions, where are they happening? In the myometrium, because here what are we finding? We are finding the smooth muscles. All right, then moving on to the endometrium. Endometrium is the innermost. It is the innermost. It is glandular. कैसा है? Glandular है, यहाँ पे glands मिलेंगे हमें. And this undergoes cyclical changes. This undergoes cyclical changes. Okay, what cyclical changes are we talking about? Menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle. We'll be talking about all the phases. There we are going to understand in detail that what cyclical changes are we talking about, यहाँ पे क्या ऐसे changes हो रहे हैं. Alright, so please remember perimetrium, outer one, it is thin membranous. Then we have myometrium, which is made up of smooth muscles. These undergoes contraction at the time of parturition. And then endometrium being the innermost, it is glandular and it undergoes cyclical changes during the menstrual cycle. Okay, so the wall of the uterus, this part is very, very important. Now, next is vagina. This is lined by stratified squamous epithelium and it has lactobacillus acidophilus. ठीक है, बैक्टीरिया का नाम है जो याद रखना है. It has lactobacillus acidophilus which keeps the vaginal pH between 4.9. Just a minute. All right. ठीक है, तो लैक्टोबैसिलस एसिडोफिलस के बारे में बात कर रहे थे हम लोग, विच कीप्स द वेजाइनल पीएच बिटवीन 4.9 एंड 3.5 बाय प्रोड्यूसिंग लैक्टिक एसिड, राइट? सबने सुना होगा दैट द पीएच ऑफ द वेजाइना इज एसिडिक. ओके, द पीएच ऑफ द वेजाइना इज एसिडिक. किसकी वजह से हो रहा है वो? बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेजेंस ऑफ दिस बैक्टीरिया लैक्टोबैसिलस एसिडोफिलस. तो ये जो है यहाँ पे एक एसिडिक पीएच मेंटेन करके रखता है. All right, let's move forward. This was about vagina. Now let's take a few questions related to the things we have discussed in this lecture. So first question is, what do A and C represent? A और C क्या represent करते हैं? चलिए देख लेते हैं. देखो A क्या है यहाँ पे? A is pointing towards the closest part of the oviduct, you know, to the ovary. तो ये वाला पार्ट क्या हो जाएगा? ये हो जाएगा infundibulum. This is infundibulum. All right, अब देखो फिर क्या पूछा है? फिर C पूछा है. C is this one. अब यहाँ पे देखोगे तो C में देखो क्या हो रहा है, इम्प्लांटेशन हो रहा है, यहाँ पे हमें दिख रहा है ये, यहाँ पे इम्प्लांटेशन हो रहा है, राइट. तो C क्या हो जाएगा, C हो जाएगा एंडोमेट्रियम. C is going to be एंडोमेट्रियम. आंसर ढूंढ लेते हैं. तो देखो A is infundibulum, C is endometrium. B is going to be the answer. All right, B is going to be the answer. चलिए next question. Next question, the part of the fallopian tube which is closest to the ovary. All right, इतनी बार डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, अभी लर्न हो जाना चाहिए. आंसर क्या है, infundibulum है. The part of the fallopian tube which is closest to the ovary, infundibulum, right? चलिए next question. यूट्रस इज मेड अप ऑफ डैश लेयर्स. कितने लेयर्स होते हैं यूट्रस में, अभी अभी हम लोगों ने देखा है. देयर इज पेरीमेट्रियम, देयर इज मायोमेट्रियम, एंड देयर इज एंडोमेट्रियम. तो कितने लेयर्स हो गए, 3 लेयर्स हो गए. आंसर क्या हो जाएगा, आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी सी. सिंपल, राइट. नेक्स्ट, the next question is dash lies between external opening to vagina and internal opening to the uterus, right. हम लोगों ने ऐसा डायग्राम देखा था. This is the uterus, right. ये uterus है. This is your cervix, सर्वाइकल कैनाल, सर्विक्स, राइट. कैनाल को सर्वाइकल कैनाल बोल देंगे, रीजन सर्विक्स है, एंड ये ओपन हो रहा है वजाइना में. अब देखो क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ रहा है, क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है डैश लाइज बिटवीन एक्सटर्नल ओपनिंग टू वजाइना एंड इंटरनल ओपनिंग टू यूटरस. क्या आंसर हो जाएगा, सर्वाइकल कैनाल आंसर हो जाएगा, राइट. डायग्राम से हम लोग को समझ आ रहा है. ओके, सो द आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी सर्वाइकल कैनाल. चलिए नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देख लेते हैं. व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज मायोमेट्रियम इज द मिडिल लेयर ऑफ. मायोमेट्रियम किसका मिडिल लेयर होता है, यूट्रस का मिडिल लेयर होता है, राइट. एंडोमेट्रियम, मायोमेट्रियम, पेरीमेट्रियम, यूट्रस की वॉल्स में हमने डिस्कस किया था ये. सो द आंसर इज वेरी सिंपल. ऑल राइट, यूट्रस. चलिए नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. In human female, what is the number of ovary? A pair, 2, right. एक right ovary होती है, एक left ovary होती है. So the questions are very simple. This is a very basic part of female reproductive system. ठीक है, चलिए next question. Development of fetus कहाँ पे होता है? Where does development of fetus take place? तो हम लोगों ने uterus देखा था, uterus which is also called as womb. Here what happens? Here development of fetus occurs. Okay, तो आंसर में यूटरस या womb ढूंढ लेते हैं, vagina, uterus, right. So what is going to be the answer? B is going to be the answer, the uterus.